Okay, so every winter, it's like a viral Game of Thrones is playing out inside of us.
Oh, yeah.
Influenza, RSV, COVID-19, they're all vying for dominance.
Yeah.
So which one's going to come out on top this year, and what does that mean for us?
Well, it really is fascinating how each virus has its own unique strategy to try to kind of win this battle.
Right.
Almost like a medieval court.
Oh, wow.
Full of scheming and power plays just on this microscopic scale.
I like that analogy a lot.
Yeah.
So let's meet the contenders here.
Okay.
First up, we've got influenza, the veteran.
Right.
The veteran of the viral arena. It's been around for centuries. It doesn't seem like it's going anywhere anytime soon. Why is that?
Well, influenza is like a master of disguise. It's constantly changing its appearance through mutations, which we call antigenic drift and shift.
Okay.
And these changes basically happen in the virus's genetic code, making it really hard for our immune system to recognize it and fight it.
Oh, that's why we need a new flu shot every year.
Exactly. It's like updating your antivirus software on your computer.
Yeah.
Right.
To keep up with the latest threats.
Exactly.
Okay, so flu is like the sneaky ninja, always one step ahead. What about RSV? Seems like it's making headlines lately.
Yeah, RSV, or respiratory syncytial virus, it's kind of a silent threat. It's been around for a while, but we've seen it surge recently, particularly impacting vulnerable populations like infants and the elderly.
Interesting. So why are those groups hit harder by RSV than the rest of us?
Well, infants, their immune systems are still developing. They're still learning how to fight off these infections.
Makes sense.
And then as we age, our immune defenses naturally weaken, leaving us more susceptible to getting really sick from these viruses.
Got it.
So for these groups, infants and the elderly RSV can be much more than just a common cold.
Yep.
It can lead to serious complications like pneumonia and bronchiolitis.
And bronchiolitis, just to clarify for folks at home, that's inflammation of the tiny airways in the lungs.
That's exactly right.
So it's like their defenses are just weaker, giving RSV a chance to really take hold.
Yeah.
That's pretty scary. And then there's COVID-19. Right. Feels like we've been battling that one forever.
Yeah, it feels like a lifetime ago.
It really does. Is it still a major player in this viral game?
Well, COVID-19 might be less prominent now than it was a few years ago, but it's far from gone. I mean, the virus is still circulating and new variants are constantly emerging.
Right.
Viruses are incredibly adaptable. They're always evolving to survive and spread.
So it's like this relentless warrior, always ready for a comeback.
Yeah.
COVID never goes away quietly.
Never.
But what about new viruses? Are there any kind of lurking in the shadows waiting to join this viral battle royale?
Yeah, that's the wild card, isn't it? These new viruses, particularly zoonotic diseases, the ones that jump from animals to humans,
right?
They're a constant threat. We share this planet with such a vast diversity of life, and viruses are everywhere.
They are everywhere.
Yeah.
So zoonotic diseases, that means they come from animals.
Yes.
But how do they actually make that leap to humans?
Well, there are a few ways it can happen. Sometimes it's through direct contact with an infected animal, like a bite or scratch or something.
Okay.
Other times it's through exposure to contaminated environments, like forests or caves where bats carrying viruses might live.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And as we encroach further into animal habitats, to disrupt ecosystems, we kind of increase the chances of these spillovers happening.
It's like we're building bridges for these viruses to cross over.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
All right, so we've met the players in this viral Game of Thrones.
Yes.
They're all pretty formidable opponents, each with their own, strengths and strategies.
Each with their own MO.
Exactly. But where exactly is this epic battle taking place?
Well, the battleground is your immune system.
Okay.
It's this complex network of cells and processes that constantly defends you against these invaders like viruses.
It's like our own personal army working tirelessly to keep us healthy.
Exactly.
So our immune system, it's like a fortress protecting us from these viral invaders. But how does it actually work?
Well, your immune system is made up of two main branches.
Okay.
We have the innate immune system and the adaptive immune system.
Okay.
So the innate system, that's your first line of defense.
Right.
It's like the castle walls and the guards, providing a general barrier against anything that tries to get in.
So it's like a non-specific defense ready to fight anything that doesn't belong.
Exactly. Now, if an invader gets past that first line of defense, the innate system, then the adaptive immune system kicks in.
Oh, okay.
And this is where it gets really cool because this is your specialized force. It learns to recognize specific threats and develops targeted weapons to neutralize them.
Like antibodies.
Like antibodies, exactly.
So it's like the elite squad that swoops in to take down the toughest enemies.
Yeah, precisely. And what's amazing is that the adaptive immune system has memory.
It remembers.
So once it's encountered a specific threat, it remembers it and can mount a much faster and stronger response the next time around.
Oh, that's how vaccines work?
That's exactly how vaccines work.
That's so cool.
Yeah, they introduce your body to a weakened or inactive version of a virus, allowing your immune system to develop that defense strategy without you actually getting sick.
So it's like giving your immune system a training exercise.
Yes.
To prepare for the real battle.
Exactly.
That's pretty incredible. But even with this amazing defense system, we still get sick.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, because viruses are incredibly cunning.
Yeah.
I mean, they've evolved these sophisticated strategies to evade and attack our immune system.
It's like they're studying our defenses.
Yeah.
Finding ways to exploit our weaknesses.
Exactly. And each virus has its own unique approach.
Oh, interesting.
Take RSV, for example. It often starts with mild symptoms, almost like a stealthy infiltration,
Okay.
before overwhelming the lungs.
Oh, so like a Trojan horse.
Yeah.
Sneaking in under the radar and then launching a surprise attack.
Perfect analogy.
And then there's the flu.
Uh-huh.
Those mutations we talked about.
Yeah.
They allow it to constantly change its appearance, making it harder for our immune system to recognize it and target it.
Exactly. It's like a master of disguise.
Yeah. Always slipping past the guards.
That's right.
So it's like this constant game of cat and mouse,
Uh-huh.
with the virus always trying to stay one step ahead.
Yeah.
And then we have COVID-19,
Right.
which is a master of rapid evolution, mutating quickly, generating these new variants that can sometimes evade the immunity that we've built up from previous infection or vaccination.
Yeah, that's right.
So even if our immune system has encountered COVID-19 before a new variant can come along and throw everything off balance.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so challenging to keep up with.
Right. It's like the virus is always adapting its battle plan.
Uh-huh.
It's getting pretty intense.
It is.
It really feels like we're up against some serious microscopic warriors here.
Oh, yeah. They're definitely formidable opponents.
But it's not just the viruses themselves that we have to worry about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our own actions play a role in all of this, too.
Oh, absolutely. Human behavior has a huge impact on viral spread.
I would imagine so.
Viruses need us to survive and spread.
Right.
They can't do it on their own.
So we're not just passive bystanders in this viral game.
Right.
Our actions can actually influence the course of the battle,
Exactly.
for example.
Well, for example, when vaccination rates drop,
Okay.
viruses have more opportunities to spread and potentially mutate.
So it's like we're lowering our defenses, making it easier for the viruses to gain ground.
Yeah.
What about things like travel and gatherings? How do those activities factor into viral spread?
Well, think about it. When we travel, we bring viruses with us, potentially introducing them to new populations.
Right.
And large gatherings, especially indoors, create the perfect environment for these airborne viruses to spread.
So our desire to connect, to explore, to celebrate it can inadvertently help these viruses spread.
It's a complex interplay between our social behaviors and, the biological realities of these viruses.
Right.
And to make things even more challenging, there's another player in this viral game that we haven't even mentioned yet.
Oh, there's another player.
Yeah.
Well, I'm on the edge of my seat here. Who is it?
Winter itself.
Winter. What does the season have to do with all of this?
Well, you see, winter is more than just a change in weather.
Okay.
It's a shift in the entire playing field, giving viruses a strategic advantage in this microscopic battle.
So winter is like a secret ally for these viruses.
You could say that.
How does that work?
Well, first consider the air in winter. It's cold and dry.
Right.
And that dry air actually dries out your nasal passages, which are your first line of defense against inhaled viruses.
So it's like winter is weakening the walls of our fortress,
Exactly.
making us more vulnerable to attack.
And then there's the sunlight, or the lack thereof,
Right, shorter days.
Shorter days,
Right.
less exposure to vitamin D, which is important for a healthy immune system.
So not only are our defenses weaker, but we're also getting fewer supplies to reinforce them. But how does all this actually benefit the viruses themselves?
Well, some viruses, like influenza, are actually more stable in cold, dry air.
Interesting.
They can survive longer outside the body, increasing their chances of finding a new host.
So winter is like this protective shield for these viruses, helping them spread further and faster.
Precisely. And here's another factor. In winter, we tend to spend more time indoors, often in crowded, poorly ventilated spaces.
Right.
This creates the perfect environment for airborne viruses to spread.
It's like we're unknowingly creating the perfect breeding ground for these viruses to flourish.
Yeah, it's like we're setting the table for them.
So winter itself is a major player in this viral game, but our own behaviors during the season can make things even worse, right?
Oh, absolutely. Think about holiday gatherings.
Yeah, we're getting into that time of year right now.
We travel, we gather with loved ones, we share meals in close spaces.
Right.
You know, it's a time for connection, but it's also a prime opportunity for viruses to spread.
So our desire to connect, to celebrate it, actually plays right into the hands of these viruses.
In a way, yes, and then there's something we call vaccine fatigue, you know?
Vaccine fatigue.
After years of dealing with COVID-19, many people are just tired of getting vaccinated.
Sure.
And this can lead to a drop in vaccination rates, making it easier for viruses to spread.
So it's like we're letting down our guard just when we need it most.
Yeah, you could say that.
But wait, there's something else I remember from before.
What's...
Antibiotic resistance, right? How does that fit into all of this?
That's a crucial point. Antibiotics are powerful drugs, but they only work against bacteria.
Right.
They're useless against viruses.
Okay.
Now, here's where it gets tricky. Viral infections can weaken your immune system, making you more susceptible to secondary bacterial infections.
So it's like getting hit with a 1-2 punch.
Exactly.
First the virus,
Yeah,
then a bacterial infection on top of that.
exactly. And the problem is that bacteria are becoming increasingly resistant to antibiotics, meaning that these secondary infections are becoming much harder to treat.
So that's a growing concern, especially in the context of these viral infections.
It really is. We're seeing this more and more.
This is a lot to take in.
It is.
We have viruses that are constantly evolving, a season that gives them an advantage, and our own behaviors that can make things worse.
Yeah, it's a complex interplay of factors.
Then we have this looming threat of antibiotic resistance. Yeah, it can feel overwhelming, honestly.
It can feel overwhelming, but, you know, we're not powerless in this fight.
Okay, so we have ways to fight back.
We do.
We have knowledge, we have tools, and we have choices.
Exactly.
And one of the most powerful tools in our arsenal is vaccination.
Absolutely.
So it's like giving our immune system a cheat sheet for the test.
I like that analogy.
Vaccines are like training simulations for your immune system.
Right.
Introducing your body to a weakened or inactive version of the virus, allowing your immune system to develop those antibodies without you actually getting sick. So when the real virus comes along, our immune system is ready to fight back.
It's primed and ready to go.
Exactly. And there are different types of vaccines, each designed to target specific viruses.
Right.
We have the annual flu vaccine,
Yep.
which is updated every year to match the circulating strains of influenza.
That's right.
So it's like this constantly evolving weapon,
Yeah.
adapting to the changing tactics of the enemy.
That's a great way to think about it.
And then there are vaccines for RSV.
Yes.
We now have vaccines for older adults
Yes.
who are at higher risk of severe RSV infection.
Mm-hmm.
And for infants, we have monoclonal antibodies that can provide passive immunity.
That's right.
Wait, monoclonal antibodies, that sounds familiar. Can you remind me what those are?
Sure. Monoclonal antibodies are these lab-created proteins that act like a temporary boost to the immune system.
Right.
They're designed to target specific viruses like RSV and help neutralize them before they can cause serious illness.
So they're like a short-term reinforcement for those with weaker immune systems.
Exactly.
And then there are the COVID-19 boosters.
Yes.
These are crucial for maintaining immunity against the virus, especially as new variants emerge.
Right. It's like a software update for your immune system.
I like that.
Yeah. Making sure it has the latest information to fight the evolving threat.
It's amazing how science is constantly working to keep us one step ahead in this viral game.
It really is remarkable.
But even with all of these tools, we still face challenges, right?
Yes. Unfortunately, one of the biggest challenges is misinformation.
Misinformation.
False information about vaccines can spread so rapidly, especially online, you know?
Yeah.
It really preys on people's fears and uncertainties, leading them to doubt the safety and effectiveness of vaccines.
So it's like a virus itself,
Yeah.
spreading doubt and eroding trust in science.
Yeah, that's a powerful way to put it. And this misinformation can have serious consequences,
Right.
leading to lower vaccination rates, outbreaks of preventable diseases.
Of course.
So it's so important to rely on credible sources of information.
Absolutely, like public health agencies and medical professionals.
Exactly.
So we need to be critical thinkers questioning what we see and hear, especially online,
Yes.
making sure we're getting our information from trustworthy sources.
Exactly. We all have a responsibility to be informed and to share accurate information with others.
It's like we're building a collective defense against misinformation,
Yeah,
protecting ourselves and our communities.
I love that analogy.
Okay, so we've talked about the players in this viral game, influenza, RSV, COVID-19, and the potential for new viruses to emerge. We've explored the battleground, our immune system, and how it defends us.
Uh-huh.
We even talked about how winter itself can tip the scales in favor of these viruses.
Yeah, winter is a powerful ally for these viruses.
It really is, and we've discussed the weapons we have to fight back: vaccines, good hygiene, and accurate information. But now I have to ask, what does the future hold?
Okay.
What can we expect this winter and in the years to come?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It-
Predicting the future of viruses is a bit like forecasting the weather. There's always an element of uncertainty,
Right.
but we can look at current trends and expert analysis to get a sense of what might be in store for us. And frankly, the outlook for this winter is a bit concerning.
Oh, no, that doesn't sound good. What's making experts so worried?
Well, we're seeing a resurgence of RSV,
Okay.
particularly in young children. And this suggests that immunity levels may be lower than usual, possibly due to the reduced exposure during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Right, when many of us were isolated.
Exactly.
So it's like RSV had a break for a couple of years, and now it's back with a vengeance.
You could say that catching up on all those missed infections.
Oh, wow.
And on top of that, influenza is making a comeback, too.
Really?
After being relatively suppressed during those same COVID-19 lockdowns,
Okay.
it's circulating more widely now.
So it's like the flu was lying dormant, just waiting for its chance to strike again.
Yeah, you could say that.
And of course, we can't forget about COVID-19.
Right.
While it's not the dominant force it once was, it's still out there. And new variants are still emerging.
Yeah, that's the challenge with COVID. It's constantly evolving.
So we're potentially facing a triple threat this winter.
Yeah.
RSV, influenza, and COVID-19. Is it possible they could all peak at the same time?
It's definitely a possibility.
That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Well, we've already seen instances of co-infections
Infections.
where people catch multiple viruses simultaneously.
Oh, wow.
And this can be especially dangerous for those with underlying health conditions or weakened immune systems, because their bodies are already working overtime just to stay healthy.
Right, so it's like their immune systems are facing a multi-front war,
Yeah,
trying to fight off multiple enemies at once.
a good way to put it.
And then we can't forget about those wild cards we talked about earlier.
Right.
The potential for new viruses to emerge and the ongoing threat of antibiotic resistance. It can feel like we're surrounded.
It's true, there are many factors at play, and the situation is constantly evolving. But remember, you're not powerless.
Okay.
You have the ability to make choices that can protect yourself and those around you.
That's reassuring. So what can we do? What are the most important actions we can take to navigate this challenging viral landscape?
Well, first and foremost, get vaccinated.
Vaccines.
Vaccines are your best defense against these viruses. They train your immune system to recognize and fight off these specific threats, reducing your risk of getting sick. And if you do happen to get sick, it can make the illness much less severe.
So get your flu shot, your RSV vaccine, if you're eligible, and stay up to date on your COVID-19 boosters.
Exactly.
Got it. What else can we do?
Well, be mindful of your behaviors, especially during the winter month when viruses are more likely to spread. Simple things like staying home when you're sick, washing your hands frequently, and even considering wearing a mask in crowded indoor spaces can make a big difference.
So it's about being aware of our surroundings and taking steps to protect ourselves and others.
Right.
It's not just about individual responsibility. It's about community care as well.
Exactly. And finally, be a champion for accurate information.
Okay?
Challenge misinformation when you see it and encourage others to rely on those credible sources like public health agencies and medical professionals.
Right.
We all have a role to play in promoting scientific literacy and evidence-based decision-making.
This has been an incredible journey into the world of viruses.
It has.
We've learned about their unique strategies, the battle they wage within our bodies, the factors that influence their spread. We've also explored the tools we have to fight back and the power of our choices in shaping a healthier future.
Absolutely.
And remember, while the world of viruses can seem overwhelming, you are not a passive bystander.
That's so important to remember.
You have agency, you have knowledge, and you have the ability to make a difference.
You really do.
So as we head into this winter and the winters to come, let's remember the lessons we've learned today. Let's be informed, be proactive, and be kind to ourselves and each other.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.